Hello everyone, Seraphin here. Welcome back for more Fire Emblem 7, The Blazing Sword. When we last left off, I believe we just finished up Lynn's quest. We finished up Chapter 10, so today we are moving on to the meat and potatoes of the story, you could say, the main quest, Eliwood's quest, starting with Chapter 11. And this takes place 1 year after the end of the events of Lynn's quest. So 1 year after Lynn reclaimed the throne of Caelin, or rather, allowed her grandfather to reclaim the throne. So here we get a little bit more of background as to the world that we are currently playing through. So the continent that you see here we've already referred to as Eliwood, and about 1,000 or so years ago a big war happened between mankind and between dragons, and that was called the Scouring. And much of the efforts in defeating said dragons were because of 8 mighty heroes, also referred to as the 8 generals, as you'll see in this. And each one of those generals, save, I believe, one, went on to found one of the many countries that occupy the continent. So there we see the borders of Bern. That was settled by Hartmut. I believe he was considered the leader of the generals. The reason for that being is he has 2 weapons attributed to him, 2 legendary weapons attributed to him rather than just one. It's also the most militaristic and powerful country on the continent. While we have Etruria, which is the largest landmass-wise, founded by Saint Elimine. We have the Plains of Pherae, where Lyn is originally from, founded by Hanan the Horseman. And very far to the cold frozen north, we have Ilia, that's where all the Pegasi are from. The knight Barragan settled up there. And then we have the sparse collection of islands called the Western Isles. I know, a very original name. Founded by the Berserker Durbans. And then we have that whole peninsula on the bottom left there is referred to as Misur. But that large area you see highlighted is all one big desert. The desert of Nabata. Where the archsage Athos retired to. So less founding a country, more just hanging out there. And then finally we have Lycia, where the champion Roland is from. Or ended up founding, rather. And that's where all of our main characters occupy as well, as in Lycia. 980 years peace, so just about 1,000 years. And the 8th general did not found a country, and they'll explain that later on, very much later on, but I'll explain more of that as we get there. So, we're going to be going into Pherae today. That's where Eliwood is from. Eliwood is the son of Marquis Pherae. And we find out here in this prologue, well, there's Eliwood's dad right there. He is mysteriously vanished. He disappeared about a month ago. And no one knows what happened to him, and no one's heard from him since. Neither him nor all of the retainer knights that he brought with him. So that's where our quest picks up, is Eliwood trying to figure out what the heck happened to his father. He's pretty sure he's alive, but, you know, we gotta find out where he went. And there's Eliwood. So for the remainder of the game, Eliwood is our main character. At some point we will get Lyn back, but that won't be for a few chapters. She is still considered a main character in that if she dies, the game will be over. But she is not the main character per se. She is still just a principal character. Hector will show up also. He is, again, a character that cannot die, because if you do, the game's over, but he's not the main character. Unless you're on his quest, but we're not on Eliwood's. So this is the general Ella talking to is Marcus. This is I believe the commander of the Night Guard of Pherae. And there's Eliwood's mom. Her name is Eleonora, because it's required that everybody have the same 2 first letters in their first names. If you're in the same family, apparently. Also, Eliwood looks exactly like his dad, but nothing like his mother. She's got purple eyes and purple hair, and whether him and his dad have blue eyes and red hair. So who knows. This is one of only 2 times I think you see Eliwood's mother. And then we have Isadora, who is another knight of Pherae. She is, I believe, Lady Eleanor's sworn bodyguard. Yes, we will return. Whether or not it's in one piece or alive is entirely up to other things. Alright, so it was going to be me and Marcus, but now it's going to be this Lowen as well. He's another knight in training, I believe. Yeah, we're going on this big epic quest to find your dad. Very dangerous, very long, but it's just going to be 2 people. Or 3 in this case, I guess. Yeah, that does make sense, I guess. Oh, who's this guy? They've been gone for a month, but these bandits are just now deciding to take action. Grozny, I guess that's how you pronounce that. Not really sure. It's kind of an odd name. To be fair, those bandit guys do look like they get dropped on their heads a lot, so... And here we have Lowen. I'm not sure how he's able to ride a horse when he can't see where he's going. Kind of reminds me of anime characters who always have their eyes squinting so much it looks like they're closed. I'm like, how do you know where you're going? Much less, how do you hit people with weapons? Oh, he brought somebody with him. Who's this? This is Rebecca. Rebecca is an archer, as you saw in her sprite on the overworld there. You must aid the village, of course, because you're the nobles, and that's kind of your job. That's something I didn't learn until fairly recently, actually. Old school, like, Renaissance medieval nobles were the ones who were in charge of defending the common people because they're the ones that everybody paid taxes to. It was effectively, you were paying taxes for protection, is what it was, principally. And if a noble failed to protect their people, or if you lost a war, it was considered a grievous failure of the nobility. So nobility, in fact, was like the warrior class because they had to defend everybody. I always thought that was really cool. It's kind of funny how far modern, I guess the modern equivalent of nobility has fallen, in that we just pick people to lead us and they do a crap job. I'm not going to get political, I promise. At least not outside of the context of, you know, this game. Oh yeah, so then Eliwood just happened to stumble upon me, lurking around in Pherae for some reason. Pherae. I've been watching somebody else's playthrough of this, and they call it Pherae. I don't think that's how you pronounce it. And here we got all these banditos. So here we have Eliwood. He is, like Lyn, a level 1 lord. However, unlike Lyn, they are not quite the same class because they have different stat stat caps, and they have a different sprite, obviously, because it looks just like Eliwood. Eliwood has a unique weapon here. He gets the rapier that only he gets to use. It's pretty good. It's a little stronger than typical iron sword, and also you'll see the mistranslation on there, the same thing that the Mani Kati had that Lyn equipped. Effective against infantry, what that actually means is that it's effective against armored knights, and it's effective against cavalry. So, this is a slightly weaker version of the Mani Kati, but nonetheless it is very useful for Eliwood starting out. Because, unfortunately, Eliwood's starting stats are not spectacular. His speed is kind of good, his defense is alright. Strength is a little lacking, and so is skill. He's got a con of 7, which is passable for now, but it's going to hurt him in the butt later. And then he's got no resistance, obviously. He does come with C rank in swords, though, which is very good, and he levels that up very quickly, so he'll be able to use some of the best weapons in the game very quickly. And then we have Lowen, who is a cavalier, just like Kent and Sane were. You'll see he's got very similar starting stats to both of them. He does have an extra point of constitution over them, which is nice. He also comes at level 2 instead of level 1, as you can see here. The thing with Lowen, though, I'm not a huge fan of him, and it's only because he is the tankiest of the cavaliers you get in this game. But that's it. His strength, skill, and speed growth are all pretty lackluster. I think they're hovering right around 30% or so. His defense growth, however, is somewhere in like 50 or 60%, so he will most likely cap defense out very easily, and his luck's also very high. So if you need a big tanky wall of a Cavalier, Lowen's your man, but if you want them to actually reliably kill people, he might struggle with that. So I tend not to use him, unfortunately. And then we have Rebecca. She's another archer, like Will. Her stats are different than his starting out. She doesn't have very much strength, but she is quite quick for an archer. In fact, she's got very high speed growth, so she will cap speed very quickly. Her defenses are usually pretty lackluster, and she has a very hard time leveling strength a lot of the time. So, unfortunately, her and Will are mostly interchangeable. One of them is a lot stronger and more tanky, while Rebecca is much quicker. And she also tends to get quite a bit of resistance as well. So she's a good mage killer later on in the game. Her constitution also is only 5, which is not very high, but it allows her to use an iron bow without any speed loss. And she does come with rank D in bows as opposed to E at level 1, which is great. And then finally we have Marcus here. Now Marcus is a Cavalier, however he is a promoted Cavalier, he is a Paladin. It still says he's level 1, but the equivalent of that is he's actually effectively anywhere between level 11 and level 21. And the reason for that is when you promote a character class, they could be promoted anywhere between level 10 and level 20. Level 20 is the maximum level for any class. So if you get a basic class like a Cavalier and Archer to level 20 and then promote them, they become a level 1 in their promoted class, regardless of what level you promoted them at. And then they get to level 20 again. So you can effectively get every character in this game to level 40 if you think about it. Except the ones that come pre-promoted like Marcus here. We don't know what level Marcus would have been promoted at, but it's fair to judge based on his stats that it was probably right around the 13 or 15 range, because his stats aren't spectacular. I know they look really good right now. However, if you manage to promote any other Cavalier other than Marcus up to level 20, they will be much, much better than this at level 1 as a Paladin. Marcus is fantastic to have early on in an emergency, and I say that because he is already promoted and will therefore suck a lot of your experience away from your lower level units that they might otherwise need to grow. So it is highly recommended that you do not use Marcus unless you absolutely have to early on. He's a great trump card when you're fighting a tough boss or when you're in a tight spot and need some extra help, but other than that, I tend to leave him alone as well. And just kind of let him hang back. That being said, as a Paladin, he's got an impressive 8 movement range. And he also, as you can see, comes with level A in swords and lances and B in axes, so he can wield darn near anything, which is very good. And he comes with a steel sword and a steel lance. These are both stronger but heavier versions of the iron ones. And his con is 11, which is pretty respectable. I believe he can use the steel sword without any speed loss, but he will lose 2 from using the steel lance. And as you can see, even at a level 1 promoted Paladin, he's still only got 11 speed. So it's still not all that great, but he's perfect for this first few levels when you're in trouble and need the help. So we're going to get going here. I'm primarily only going to be using Eliwood and Rebecca as long as I can help it. And what we're going to do is actually give Eliwood the iron sword from Lowen here, so he doesn't need to waste his rapier. And I'm going to allow this bandit to... I'm going to attack him, but I'm also going to let him attack me. And I forgot to turn animations on for these characters, so let's do that. Rebecca and Eliwood. You know... Yeah, we'll leave him on for Marcus too, just in case. Paladins look really cool. So we're going to let that guy attack Eliwood, and we're going to park Rebecca just out of the way so she doesn't get hit. And then we will have Marcus in the back as backup. And I'm going to give him the javelin from Lowen as well, in case he needs to throw something from a distance. So this guy's going to come at Eliwood. Hopefully he doesn't hit him. Oh, well, he will. That's not great. Eliwood, however, is not quite fast enough to double these guys just yet. Unlike Lyn was at level 1. He's not anywhere near as fast as Lyn will end up being. And here we get a familiar face and somebody who is not so familiar. Here's Dorcas again on the left there. Not sure why he's all the way in Pherae all of a sudden. And this gentleman on the right is an acquaintance of Dorcas. I'm not going to say friend because I don't think they behave all that friendly with each other, but his name is Barter, or Bartra as I've heard some people pronounce it. I'm not sure which is the correct one. But like Dorcas, Bartra is a fighter. So he has an axe also, and you'll see his stats are very different from Dorcas. His starting strength is a bit higher, even though he's one level lower than Dorcas. However, his speed is pathetic at 3, which means he's not capable of doubling anybody, even if they have 0 speed. That is bad. So I believe he's the unit to start with the lowest base speed in the game, which is... His speed growth is not awful, but it's not great by any means either. So even Dorcas with his starting 6 will double some enemies, but Bartra can't even do that. His defense is not great, his resistance doesn't exist, and his luck isn't great either. Honestly, Bartra is not a great unit, and neither is Dorcas. I don't like either of the 2 fighters they give you in this game, unfortunately. Which is disappointing, because axe units are very useful later on in the game, and you don't really get any good ones. That's not. There are other axe units you get later in the game that are not fighters. They're different classes that are capable of using axes that are much better than either of these 2 guys. But we don't have them quite yet. So we're actually going to park Eliwood on this fort here. His HP's not looking good. I'm going to keep his Iron Sword equipped and give him a vulnerary. And we are going to position Marcus strategically right here. And that way, if anybody decides to attack him, they'll be in trouble, which would be dumb because I don't know why they would. They're going to go for Eliwood more than likely. And I am, I'll have Dorcas visit this village. Everyone in Pherae is worried about Lord Elbert. The dragon shield is our village treasure. So here we get a dragon shield. Now the dragon shield is... Oh yeah, that's right. So Dorcas has an energy ring starting out, which is great. We used one of these last time in Lynn's story. And now we have a dragon shield, which does the same thing as the energy ring, but for defense instead. You don't get very many of these stat boosting items throughout the game, so it's very imperative to use them when they would be most useful. So I'm going to hang on to those. We're going to park Bartra here. I might use him to weaken this guy, although I don't want to worry about him getting hit, so we're just going to let him stay there and not move. And then Lowen will park himself on this tree. So I've been talking a lot about growths in this game, referencing character stat progression, and what that means is every individual character, not the individual classes, but the individual characters themselves, have a pre-programmed set of growth rates in every stat. So what that means is Eliwood has a stat for strength, skill, speed, luck, whatever, and it's a percentage. And every time a character levels up, the game will check against all those percentages and roll a random number for each. If the number it rolls is below that percentage, then they'll get a level up in it. If it is above it, they will not. So you generally want, obviously, higher growths are better. That being said, the average for any given stat in this game, the lowest you'll see is about 20%, and the highest is around 70%. HP is different. HP, the average you'll see is about 60%. Because generally everybody will get HP no matter what. There are very, very, very few characters that will have a hard time leveling up their HP. But given that, you won't see stats go up very much. Honestly, like I said in the few chapters ago, if you get 2 or 3 stats on a level up, it's a good level up. It's a very good one. If you get any more than that, it's fantastic. If you get only 1, it's not very good. If you get none, obviously, it's terrible. Some of the better characters will level quite a bit, though. The maximum stats for any character is actually determined by their class. So while your stat growths are individual character-based, stat caps are class-determined. So Eliwood's stats, he's the only one of his class, however, so his is different. But every Cavalier/Paladin, once they promote, will have the same set of maximum stats. And you can see those little bars going across the individual stats there. Those will be the same. Those bars will be the same distance across the screen for every Paladin in the game. That being said, there is minor differences between male and female variants of the same class, but every one of those is still restricted to the same predetermined stat growth, or stat caps, excuse me. So Marcus will never be able to get more than 25 strength. He'll never be able to get more than 26 skill. He's never going to get near that anyway. I think 24 speed is the cap for Paladins. That being said, luck is a little different. Luck and HP. So HP, the cap for every class, is 60. There are only a couple of units capable of hitting that cap. And the maximum stat for luck for every unit is 30, which is why that goes all the way across for everybody, even when they're unpromoted. And in unpromoted units, caps are all 20 except for luck. And I think it's 40 for HP. So, everybody but Marcus in this map, you'll see they have the same length across for those stats that aren't luck, because it's caps at 20. Once they promote, then they get higher caps, which is why Marcuses are all over the place. I think it's safe to hit this archer with Dorcas and let Rebecca finish him off. Or he'll just miss, that's fine. You know, I'll turn animations on for those guys too, just because. I know I said I wasn't going to be training them, and that's true, I'm still not, but if I need a couple extra hits to score a kill, then I'm going to make use of that. I wonder if... No, Marcus will double even with that absurd javelin of his. And he'll one... Holy smokes, these guys must be slow. Yeah, it's only 3 speed. And unfortunately, I don't want to initiate with Rebecca because she'll get countered, so I'm going to leave her right here. The other thing I was going to say about growth rates is that some characters have better growth rates than others. But for the most part, there are no units in the game that are unusable. There are none that are so bad that they just can't possibly be used. Even Dorcas and Bartra, if you choose to invest in them, train them up, baby them a little bit, maybe give them a couple of stat boosting items, they will turn out pretty well also. But there are some units that are just inherently better. For example, Rebecca is just inherently better than Will in many cases. It's a bad example because the units I have right now are all kind of crap, except for Eliwood and Rebecca, but later on you'll get some of the other some different units and they'll just be inherently better. For example, Kent and Sane, either one of them are inherently better than Lowen, with the exception of their defense. Lowen will always beat them on defense, but that's literally it. And sometimes it is entirely possible for the random number generator. You'll hear me refer to the RNG a lot. That means the random number generator that determines if these stats grow or not. It is entirely possible for several units to get RNG screwed, meaning that they just, when they're supposed to level up, they just don't get anything, and it's terrible. It is very easy, like I said, for Rebecca to get strength RNG screwed. It's very easy for Eliwood to succumb to that as well, unfortunately. There are some other units that are less prone to being screwed, but they're pretty few and far between. Anybody really can get screwed over that way. But... So Eliwood, thankfully, being a main character and is a required character to deploy every chapter, is pretty good. A lot of people like to talk bad about Eliwood because he's not anywhere near as good as Lyn or Hector, and sadly he's not. Those two will outclass him generally, but Eliwood is still a very competent unit if properly invested into. Oh, he can double this archer. I didn't know that. That might not be a bad idea. He's about to level up anyway. Alright, that's not bad. So skill, speed, and luck. I like that. I would have preferred strength, but I will take speed because maybe that will give some more double potential. So we're going to see if Dorcas can finally hit this guy. He's been trying a lot the last couple turns, been failing miserably. Alright. Oh, and he killed him. Crap, I totally neglected to mention that. So, unfortunately, Dorcas just stole a kill from Rebecca, but that's okay. I might end up using him for a little bit until we get the other axe-using character, only because it's really nice to have an axe user early on in this game. Although we do get Hector, and Hector's amazing, so maybe I won't worry about it. We are going to have Rebecca take Eliwood's potion and use that, since she's hurting a little bit. I shouldn't be letting her get hit. I'm neglecting my nightly duties, unfortunately. I'll use Marcus or Lowen to visit those villages. And we're going to draw out that bandit with Hector. I'm sorry, with Eliwood, not Hector. Hector's not here yet. He's the other guy. I apologize if I get characters mixed up. I have played this game a lot, and I just kind of tend to roll them all together. Hmm. Hmm. Not entirely sure what he's talking about there, actually. Staying with the magistrate. Rebecca's the daughter of the magistrate. Nope. Sadly, Eliwood's still not quite fast enough to double these guys. I bet you he's almost there. So we're gonna let him... I wonder, can Bartra not kill this guy? Nope, he'll kill him no matter what. So we're gonna let Eliwood finish him. And by finish, I mean hurt him, so Rebecca can finish him. Thankfully, he's actually deciding to dodge this time, which is good. Kind of poke at him here a little bit. Rebecca, unfortunately, requires a bit of babying early on, like I said, because of her low strength, which she's improving, that's good, and speed, perfect. I will take that. I know it's only 2 stat ups, and I said that's bad, but that's actually very good for her. We'll have... well, no we won't. We'll have Marcus visit this village too. As a matter of fact, I do understand weapon levels. No way, the more you train with them, the better you get. Never would have figured that out. The irony of him saying that to the guy with the highest level weapon levels in my team. So that is another thing. He did mention something I didn't already explain. So I mentioned that weapon levels go from E all the way to S rank. However, any given character can only have S rank in one weapon class. So if Marcus were to S rank swords, he would not be able to S rank lances no matter how many times he uses one. Same with axes. So you kind of have to decide which one you want to get S rank with. There are benefits to getting S rank with a weapon, apart from just being able to use S rank weapons. There's only one S rank weapon of every class in the game, and you don't get them until the very last chapter, which is annoying. That being said, however, if you have S rank with a weapon class, you get a bonus 5% hit and 5% crit with the weapon equipped. And that's any weapon of that class. So if you have S rank in swords and you use an iron sword, you still get 5 extra hit and 5 extra crit with the iron sword. And that is very useful later on. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes a big difference. Let's pray Eliwood doesn't get hit by every single one of these people. Okay, good. And once again, Eliwood's still not capable of doubling these guys. But he is going to lay down some hurt on every single one of them, which is nice. Except for the archer, of course. I'm actually going to trade this, all these axes over to Bartra here. Or not Bartra, but Dorcas. And he'll hang on to my other stuff for me. Because I think Dorcas can hit this guy and not kill him with the hand axe. Perfect. And that will allow Eliwood to finish him off and get the level up for it. I could have Rebecca do it too. In fact, I like that idea better, so we're going to let Rebecca do it. Eliwood thankfully doesn't require quite as much babying as Rebecca because he's a frontline unit and can retaliate during the enemy phase as well as the player phase. He's going to double this guy and have just enough to kill him with the rapier, so we're going to do that. Oh, Eliwood crit. I love that animation. The backflip, a little exaggerated, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Eliwood's going to get level 3. Still no strength, but skill, speed, luck, and resistance. Alright. I would like you to get luck next time, Eliwood. That would be fantastic. And we'll put these two as a wall here, so they can't get to Rebecca. Probably go for... oh, he's going to go for Eliwood, like a strange, not smart person. And Eliwood will crit him as well. So far, you've crit just as often as Lynn has through my playthrough. That's kind of scary. And we're just going to kind of poke at this guy a little bit. Pherae Knights? That's impossible! It's unpossible. Who'd have thunk that there would still be some knights hanging around the kingdom that they are sworn to protect? I never would have imagined. So thanks to his extra speed growth, Eliwood is now capable of double hitting this guy, which is great. However, no matter what way I slice it, I don't think I'm going to be able to let Rebecca have the kill here. But I'll wait here and let him come to me. I didn't bother to visit this vendor. Is anything useful in here? They're just potions. We don't need those. Everybody on the team's got one except for the people that I'm not using. Oh, he is going to get some HP back. I forgot about that. Which is good, because Eliwood can poke at this guy a few times, and then Rebecca can pick him off to get the kill. And she should go to level 3 also. That is what I want. As long as Eliwood doesn't crit on 2%, we should be okay. And even if he does... Oh, he's gonna miss? Are you kidding? With 94%. Oh, that's just downright annoying. Well, in that case... what I'm going to do is rescue him with Marcus. So Rebecca can still kill him next turn. And then Eliwood can seize the gate and we'll end the chapter there. That being said, if Eliwood does not get any strength on his next level up, I might use the energy ring on him. I know it sounds crazy to use that very early on like this, but he needs a little bit of a boost starting out. Rebecca's going to get more speed. Still no strength. But again, that's okay. That is a lord's duty to protect the citizenry. That's true. The good folk of Laos know no such protection. So Laos is another city-state of Lycia. Darren is their marquis. He is not a very nice person. Apparently bandits and thieves are abounds all over the place while he prepares for war. But where he's going to war to, no one quite knows. Jeez. Target is most likely the Lycian territory. The reason he says that is because Laos is right square in the middle of Lycia. And they believe that maybe Marquis Laos has something to do with his father disappearing. It is it's a fair assumption to make. If you don't have anything better to do, do you want to come hang out with us? I mean... Splendid! Well, you haven't yet, but we'll see how that goes. Don't be ridiculous. Yes, generic villager sprite is your father. I always imagine her having like a country girl accent, like southern country girl accent. Kind of like Nephany from Path of Radiance. However, when Nephany speaks in Path of Radiance, she actually uses like southern country girl speak. Rebecca does not do that. She's basically going to become a knight, if only she knew. Okay, bye! Alright, so that was the first chapter of Eliwood's Quest. We're going to leave it there, and I will pick up next time, and we get to meet even more people. I know, it's exciting. So for now, I'm going to leave it there, but I will resume next time. And until then, I've been Seraphin. Everyone, have a great evening.